Join me in introducing a great man, a father, a husband, a grandfather, and a devoted servant of God. This man has touched the lives of so many with his unwavering faith, his dedication to his family, and the selfless service to his community. He has been a role model to those around him, always leading by example with his kind heart and gentle spirit. As a father, he has been a source of love, support, and guidance for his children, instilling in them the values of hard work, integrity, and of course, compassion. As a husband, he has been a faithful and loving partner, always putting the needs of his family before his own. And as a grandfather, he has shared his wisdom and experiences with his grandchildren, providing them with a strong foundation for their own lives. But perhaps what sets this man apart is his deep devotion to his faith. He has lived a life of service to the one and only God, using his talents and abilities to make a positive impact on the world around him. He has been a pillar of strength to his community, giving generously of his time and resources to help those in need. It is an honor to introduce this great man, a true example of what it means to live a life of purpose, love, and service. Join us as we celebrate his life and legacy on this special Men of Honor show, and learn from his wisdom and experiences as we strive to become better fathers, better husbands, grandfathers, and servants of God ourselves. Let's all put our hands together and happily welcome to the one and only Leonard Grobler. Leonard,
thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve.
It's always good to sit down and break bread with you.
Thank you.
How was your day?
I had a fantastic day, Steve. Firstly, I want to say thank you for the opportunity that I have today to come and share from my experiences, as you said, as a father and as a grandfather.
Now, you're sitting out there and you might ask, why did I choose Leonard to specifically come and talk on this topic? I've known Leonard for a very long time, and the first time I met Leonard, we were more in a social setting, in a gym environment, and I get to know Leonard through his son. But he's gone far beyond that, where Leonard has become a friend, he's become a confidant, he's become a man that you go to when you're going battling life as a man. And he has become a father that most of the boys that work in the gym has adopted. If things are going wrong, the first person I call and talk to is Leonard, and I ask him, I'm having trouble with these boys. Please have a word with him, because he will always reinforce what I say, and in most cases, he will never take sides. He'll always only take the side of truth. So Leonard, thank you very much. And you, as a man of honor, a man of integrity, a man that has unswavering loyalty to God, a man that believes in his faith, I want you to start with the young men out there. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Steve, I was born in Cape Town, and to a very normal family. I don't come from a rich family. I come from a family where my mom and my dad divorced, and it had a very, very negative impact on my life and that of my siblings. But the grace of God, they raise us in the ways of God. And for a very long time, I went astray and became rebellious. But I believe it was my mom's prayers that really brought me back in alignment with my belief in God, but also my amazing wife, my pillar of strength that I have married. I think those are the two women in my life, really, that I look up to. Yes, Steve.
Now, I mean, we could be here the whole day and talk about your life, but I'll be very picky and relate to what is happening currently, the issues that we go through as men. I'm bringing you on the show as a role model. I'm bringing you on the show as a mentor. I'm bringing you as a show as a man that has had experience. There's nothing I'm going through in my life or somebody else will go through in his life, whether it's bringing up kids or having a romantic relationship, the ups and downs that we have, that you haven't been through.
Yes.
Those are issues that you've gone through, and it makes it much easier for the young people. When I lead them, I will be the voice for these young people. Ask the question they would rather ask you, and you answer. And the first one here is, I've seen you in person with your family. And one thing that I like, this is with your kids, with your wife, is the kind of relationship you build with them. How did you get there like that?
You know, Steve, I must be honest with you if I say it's by the grace of God. I had no role model in front of me where I could draw from and say, this is the way I want to raise my kids. And we were very, very fortunate that my wife was part of a very stable family, meaning there was a father and a mother. And I grew up with my mom and my dad visiting us from time to time. As I said, they were divorced. But you know, Steve, it's about a decision. Making a decision that you will make this work and being teachable and taking good examples from teachings, especially my religion, or I'm a Christian, and I believe I try to live according to the principles that I see, principles of love that the Bible speaks about, that is paramount to everything.
Communication. I come back down to that. I've seen you communicate with your sons. I've seen you communicate with your daughter. I've had the privilege of listening to you. I'm one of those people that like to observe people, and always I've heard you talk to Laura, your wife. And it's one of the things that I admire. But how did you build that? What are the values that you live by that humbled you to a point where you can relate to your family in a way like that, remembering the fact that you didn't have a role model growing up? What are some of the values that you had to build in you, that you had to use in terms of the way you communicate with your family?
Yes. My personality type, Steve, is I'm a very high D personality. So I'm a go-getter. I am rough around the edges, but I am teachable. Believe it or not, I don't know where my children got the guts, but many a time they set me down if they did not agree with me. And I didn't take it kindly. I challenged them, but you know, Steve, in any communication, respect is key. You don't have to agree with a person. You don't have to agree, but you must respect that person's point of view. And I always open myself up to disagree with people, but never to disrespect them. I think that is one of the key principles I've also taught my children, to respect everybody, irrespective of race, irrespective of age. You respect another person's point of view. You don't have to agree with them, but you respect the person. Sorry, you respect the person. And I think that has helped me a lot. And I am forgiving. I always tell my wife that, why am I the one always saying I'm sorry first? You know, so I believe that has also helped me a lot to say that I am sorry when I've made a mistake.
Now, you growing up without having a role model, a father role model, we live in a country where if you look at statistics, 65% of our birth certificates at Home Affairs, they don't have fathers' names on it. So, which means we live in a country where we're being brought up and raised by women.
Yes.
And then the other 35%, you have intentional fatherlessness.
Yes.
Where people, they make a girl pregnant, but they were not planning to be fathers. So they do that and they're still there. But they're not a father role. Now, you growing up, seeing your father occasionally, who did you grow up wanting to become like?
Steve, I'm a lover of history. And I'm telling you now, I never had a vision of a man, a role model man other than my father. My father and my mother were separated, but he was not an absent father, so he was a separated father. He would bring us on holiday to visit him where he was staying, and my mom was left, and we would go back after the holiday. So he was very much part of our lives. We respected him. As much as I say we were devastated by the divorce, my mother never allowed us to speak bad about my father. She never spoke badly about my father, even in front of us or to us. You've asked me a very pertinent question where men pregnate women and don't take responsibility. I believe it's because men don't know their worth. If we understand that we are responsible for 7.8 billion people on this earth, we are the seed carriers. I'm not demising women. Women has got a huge role to play. But because of our seed, there are 7.8 billion people on this earth. That's how important we are as men. And that puts a huge responsibility on us as men. I believe that men are very unforgiving to themselves. We all make mistakes. Men mess up. But nowhere do they have someone that they allow to speak into their life to tell them, listen, you've messed up. Seek forgiveness. Because unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting another person to die. So if you can't forgive yourself, how can you forgive others? Coming back to this men, you have to have mentors in your life. Other men that you look up to. Men that can sit you down and say, Leonard, yeah, you are messing up. You're making a mistake. But we don't have, a lot of us don't have. We are lords unto ourselves. We don't have men speaking like we have the elders in the olden days, where the elders could sit you down and speak to you. And that, I believe, there's no order. There's no order, there's chaos. And that's why men go around just doing what, because they don't have anybody that they are accountable to.
Powerful, powerful answer. I mean, if I had to pick two things from what you're saying now, is one, men don't have other men that honor them.
Yes.
And secondly, men must learn to forgive themselves.
Yes, definitely.
They're carrying the poison of their past into the present life, which spills into the future.
Yes.
And we walk around with a very heavy burden. You cannot create a great future based on a dark past. We have to let go
Yes.
of whatever happened in the past, because we grow. And as we grow, as long as we're still living in this physical body, we will make mistakes.
Yes, definitely.
We all not make mistakes, but we're not our mistakes.
Yes.
We're totally different. Now, moving forward, most of the young men I talk to, for me, a gym is a kind of church for me. It's a place where it's easier to bring men and find them in a gym. It's very hard to find men. It's very hard to get even men into church. That's why you see 85% of our churches of course, are full of women. And I would rather also say that's why when Jesus came, the 12 disciples, there was no woman, because it's hard to find men. Men are busy playing soccer, playing rugby, they're in pubs, they're doing all these things. Now, gym becomes an easy place for me where it's easy for men to come, which has become their church. And there's a very common thing. I talk to as many men as I can, and the common thread, if a man comes to gym, a married man with kids and a busy man, and he comes to gym 2-3 hours, my job is to call him aside and ask him, brother, what is wrong? Are you okay? And the first thing they'll always say, yes, I'm trying to get into shape. I like being here. But I say, no, what are you running away from? And over time, they'll open up. And there's one common problem: communication between him and the wife. Now, most people still love each other. But there's a very big communication breakdown. How do you build that communication from a typical black man that is being made, as you said earlier, is the Lord of the Lords? He does not want to be challenged. While at this point, the wife is right that if they take the path of the man, the family will perish. How do you advise a man like that?
Firstly, that man is going to go back to the basics. Again, I say respect. Secondly, love. Now, love means a lot of things to different people. What I want to say to you, Steve, that when you pursue a woman, a lot of the communication sometimes it's non-verbal communication. You lock eyes and you immediately, you know there's a spark. You know, you don't have to tell her you love her and all that. But then the man, being the hunter, he pursues that woman. But, you know, I have seen that as soon as they are married, he's so-called conquered this beautiful woman. He does not make time to spend with this woman the way he spent time when he was pursuing her. So I will suggest that we have our date nights where the kids are sent somewhere, or the kids, somebody call in someone to look after the kids, but the two of you have to be deliberate and spend time with one another. Set aside time just for the two of you. Find out what is your wife's love language, and she must find what is your love language, and work on those things. Some must be maybe receiving presents, others may be, you know, words of affirmation. And I think that is very much underestimated, that men likes to be affirmed, especially by their spouses.
Whether a boy or a man.
God, yes.
Yeah.
They say men fight and die for affirmation, and babies cry for affirmation. So affirmation is very important in a man's life.
Now you've heard it. Just the fact that you got that beautiful wife, woman, she's a beautiful wife, doesn't mean that you have to stop chasing her. You still have to keep on chasing her in your marriage. Keep the spark alive, because otherwise the fire is going to go off and you will start creating problems where there's no problems at all. Brings us to fatherhood. You are an intentional father. You're not, what's the right word here? You're not a part-time father.
Yes.
You are an intentional father. Even your son and daughter, they've grown up, they've got their own family, but you're still very much present in their lives. What is the secret?
You know, there is no answer I can give you but to say it's a pursuit of happiness. You pursue, and it does not mean you will not make mistakes along the way. You will make mistakes along the way, but if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a legacy you want to leave behind for your children, those mistakes can hold you back. And that's where the unforgiveness comes in that I spoke about. It can hold you back. It can hold you hostage. So I believe, Steve, it is you deciding what you want to leave behind for your children and your grandchildren, irrespective of the mistakes that you have made. So there are good men that make these mistakes. Others' mistakes are just more prevalent than others. But I can tell you it's just as devastating as the mistakes that you cannot see. So men, you know, they keep themselves guilty until the day they die. And sometimes the wives don't even know about these mistakes that was made. Sometimes the wives know, but they keep it close to them. And that becomes like a cancer. It eats your person. So when you must be happy and joyful, you always call that into remembrance. So I want to really say men need to forgive themselves. And lifestyle, mindset, those are things that are very important today. What you read, who you associate with, those are the things that I believe that are huge challenges in a man's life today. What he ponders, what he listens to even, it's very important.
Now you've heard Leonard, and I think just to add on what he's saying, I remember one time I was listening to one of the best Christian evangelists that ever lived, Billy Graham, and they asked him, what is the one thing that you regret in your life? I expected him to say something totally different, but he turned around. He looked at the interviewer straight in the eye and he said, I was never there for my family. That was my biggest regret, because he was constantly all over the world.
Yes.
His family missed him, and he missed the growth of his family. So, Mr. Grobler, my brother, my good friend, my mentor, my confidant, I need you to look at that man in the camera and give them your parting word of advice. Life is hard. Life is very hard for men. And men are very much living on the edge. Men are under the distressed. Society is pushing man down. Society is trying to lift the woman at the expense of pushing the man down. What is the word of encouragement that you're giving him?
What I might share with you might sound harsh, but I want to say to you, it is not about you. It's about the difference you can make in the lives of others. Martin Luther King Jr. said, if good men say and do nothing, evil will prevail. And we see it happening in our societies today. Thank you very much, Steve.
That has been great. This is, remember, we're still continuing our 12-part series of the Manhood series. Today we've had the pleasure of having Leonard here. Whatever it is that is bothering you, whatever you're going through, remember, Leonard was talking today about how communication has been a very big part of who he's become and how it's created a lot of happiness in his family. We as men, we're not good communicators. Most of us were never brought up to speak. Yes. We've been raised in a culture that tells us the only emotion we can express is anger, but we're not allowed to show love, we're not allowed to be intimate, we're not allowed to complain. But communication will break your family. Communication will build your family. Communication will break trust. Communication will kill respect. Learn to communicate. For you to be successful, a great father, a great husband, a great man of God, to be a man that serves others, you have to learn to communicate. Without communication, unfortunately, you're going to end up being misunderstood. And even the woman that loves you will end up leaving you. So if there's any other questions that you want to ask, don't forget to comment in the comment section. If you have any questions for my good friend here, Leonard, ask down below, and of course, he will respond to you as soon as he gets time. God bless you, and always remember that you are a man of honor. Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you so much,
and hope
Steve.
to see you soon.
Thank you very much.